Great. And Michelle and I are just going to open up this session and we'll be back in the Malama room. Um, but we just had the amazing opportunity to read the Kalo Boys Adventure. And then I just wanted to thank Saul Enos, also goes by Solomon, for the beautiful artwork and everyone else. I know Deb's going to get more into the book and how it was created. Um, but it's about support, and that's why we're here today. Very important, and about breaking stigma, about seeking help, and also building resilience. Um, and this was funded by the Department of Health, Maui District Health Office, and it's part of a larger effort to promote protective factors, foster early literacy, and strengthen family bonds. And Michelle.
Strengthening family bonds. As we continuously celebrate our culture here in Hawaii, that's one of the big things that's highlighted in this beautiful illustration. And since the fires in Maui on August 8th, this story really resonates, I feel, in a way that can help people. We hear so many things about pockets of hope, and I feel that this book is one of those things that, from keiki to kupuna, on how to overcome challenges in our environment, in our ohana, and how we do the hana together, the work that we're doing together, and how we ask. It's so hard. When Paul was talking about the stigma, when we ask for help, because there are so many of us who really need help right now. And it's also important how we receive the help that we ask for. So our Hoʻoikaika Partnership Coordinator, Deb Moreau, will kick off the session with an overview of the project of the Kalo Boy.
And this book's an amazing book about a community getting together to help someone in need. And we're not going to spoil the story. You have to read it. And also, I would highly suggest, if you think these are beneficial for your agencies or independently, we want to place another big order and reach out to Deb. Because the more we order at the same time, the lower the price per book goes down. So we're trying to create a big order. And we've already got quite a few people that are ready to order. So please contact Deb if you want to be part of that large order to save money on the printing.
I hope so too, Suli. Okay, Deb. All
Mahalo.
Mahalo. Bye, everyone.
And thank you so much. It's been my honor and privilege to work on this project. From the beginning, it has had a life of its own. It's something that's wanted to be born, and it's been a collaborative endeavor that's been truly an honor. So my job is to just give you a quick overview, and please hold tight through the whole session, because you're going to get to hear the story, and you're also going to get to hear from Solomon, the artist, about his process. And we do have an order interest form that I'll post in the chat a little later, so you won't be obligated, but you can express your interest in ordering the book. So thanks again, and let's see. Okay, so this is a project that had multiple goals, and as Paul mentioned, it was funded through the Maui District Health Office, and it was, I think, awarded to us based on some good work we did the previous year on a social media campaign that we called Ohana Talk Story, TOK. And so this really extended that work to educate families about the protective factors, to reduce the stigma of seeking help, as Michelle mentioned, and also to share information about Hoʻoikaika Partnership and all of the different agencies that take part and the services that they offer to help encourage families to take advantage of those resources. Really important is that we wanted to reach people in more rural areas, especially Hana, Molokai and Lanai, and then also families who don't rely on the internet to get their information, maybe children that learn differently, and families that were especially vulnerable. And then because everybody has their full-time jobs, and this is like our collaboration is something that we do as part of that, we wanted to build on our existing work to make sure that what we were doing also benefited the work we were already doing, if that makes sense. So the concept we had was the book is central, became the central feature of this public education campaign, but it wasn't the only part. We also wanted to create lots of different products that would educate about the protective factors and have a consistent message and consistent branding. A lot of our Hoʻoikaika materials have been created many years before our website and brochures, and they really needed a refresh. And so we wanted to make sure that we also had products that everybody could use and that they were affordable and they'd last over time. We especially wanted to focus on families who had children with children 0 to 7, because data tells us that that is the age group that is most at risk for child maltreatment. And then we landed on doing a spiral-bound book. We were working with early literacy partners, and we know that reading is in itself a way to build protective factors. It's a way that caregivers and children can strengthen their bonds, and then children can learn early language skills at the same time. So the components of this campaign had this book, which you're going to hear more about, and you're going to hear the story in a moment. We had bookmarks, stickers, posters, brochures. In addition, we wanted to make sure that providers knew how to use these books and these materials with the families they serve. So we provide some training, and engagement was really at the heart. We built on some of the existing efforts, as I mentioned, and one of those is teaching, Talk, Read, Sing, which is a national campaign that Kalo for Keiki implemented here on Maui. And it does, again, dual goals, building protective factors and language skills. We also partnered with Aloha at Home, which is an initiative of the Early Childhood Action Strategy, or ECAS. Many of you may be aware of that. And Aloha at Home has done a beautiful job mapping the protective factors to Aloha values and bringing the message that of spreading aloha in the place that it matters the most, which is the home. So we wanted to help spread that message as well. Now, we talk a lot about the protective factors. Hoʻoikaika Partnership has had this at the center of our efforts since the very beginning. And they really are a set of characteristics that help families be healthy and safe. And they also reduce the risk of child maltreatment. The challenge is that they can sound really conceptual and academic. Nurturing and attachment, for example, like what does that really mean when you're talking with a family? So our very first step was to create family-friendly language that people could connect with and that we could really use to better teach the protective factors. So maybe this will help you remember them. Also, every year at the beginning of the conference, we ask people at the beginning and at the end, do you know the protective factors? And so here they are: Malama ʻOhana for nurturing and attachment, so caring for the family. Parenting can be hard, but can, which is knowledge of parenting and child development. Sorry, I have a little typo there. Show keiki aloha, which is social and emotional competence in children and really building those skills for children interacting with each other and other people. How you stay, social connections. First, make yourself Pono, which is really about parental resilience. And then, of course, no shame. It's okay to reach out, concrete support in times of need. So we've carried this through all of our products. Our next step was to create a whole set of bookmarks, and I really have to give a big shout out to Heidi Allencaster and Tracy Ribello. Put a lot of time and effort into creating these and working on the language, and And these are now available and downloadable along with our refreshed brochures from the Hoʻoikaika website. We had 2 brochures that were developed many years ago, Who's in Your Canoe, which is for parents, that really goes through all of the protective factors. And then How You Stay, which is aimed at youth and helping youth build skills for reaching out for help and disclosing. Again, the message was solid, but they kind of needed a refresh and to be updated for modern times. And really, we got a lot of help from Lisa Chow, who helped with the design and redesign of these things. So some of you may be wondering, well, this is the digital age. Why are you doing a spiral bound book? Well, we already talked about how the protective factors are conceptual, but a story helps bring concepts alive. And we knew from the work of the Early Literacy Project that families were asking for more stories that had Hawaiian language and Hawaiian context. And our team members really felt strongly that families needed to see themselves reflected in the story. So that's why we kind of landed there. And storytelling, of course, this is how humans have learned since we started. It's in every culture, and it's particularly strong in Hawaiian culture. So a book could also help bridge the digital divide. And then again, a single strategy that would help us meet multiple goals. That's a powerful strategy. But none of us were children book authors. None of us knew the first thing about writing a book, publishing a book, laying out a book. So we engaged a facilitator who also had skills in publishing, nonprofit management, and working with youth, Cynthia DeRosier from the Good Juju Company based on Oahu. And she's also a graphic facilitator. And she and I worked together to design an agenda for our team. And everyone came together and really worked on the vision for the book and the storyline. And there was a lot of doubt at first. Are we going to be able to do that in one day? And we did. We walked away from this day with a solid storyline. And then there were a lot of challenges. We had to pivot a lot of times, but we got there. And the result is really amazing. So I just want to take a moment to really call out and acknowledge all of our team members, most of whom are here today, but not everyone. And first and foremost, thank you so much to Solomon Enos, who's our beautiful artist and illustrator and has just been with us every step of the way. So much patience, so much talent. Our writing team, Heidi Allencaster, the Hoʻoikaika navigator at Maui Family Support Services. Tanya sorry, Tanya. She will have her correct spelling of her name. But she's with the Boys and Girls Club of Maui, and she has been a real champion of writing this story and will be your reader today. Tracy Rebello, the Early Literacy Project Director at Maui Family Support Services, and Mia Sato Magubal, who works with Child and Family Service, and you'll be hearing more today too. Also on our creation team, Brandy Akimo, which some of you may remember Brandy when she was here on Maui and worked with Hoʻoikaika as a partner for many years. She rejoined us to help us rethink our brochures, and she did a lot of research on the mythology of Maui and the legend of Maui, which helped inform our thinking. Lisa Chow, who's here today, she was our website redesigner and brochure and logo refresh, and she did all the book layout as well. Genevieve Dorego from Amua Family Services helped really do all the logistics, along with our intern Deza Santos for our creation day. And Jessica Gleason, she joined us later in the process, but she is our bookmobile librarian from Wailuku Public Library and has brought her mana'o about reading to children and what really resonates in a children's book. Ikela Kanaiapua Crozier from Kamehameha Schools was our cultural advisor, and I can't say enough how much we appreciated Kalo working with us. She really helped raise our awareness of the nuances of how animals behave in nature and how Kalo farming is done and usage of Hawaiian language. And we just so appreciated her participation. Lei Aloha was a former intern with us, and she helped keep us in check with a parent perspective. And finally, Kavika Matos from Maui Family Support Services and Kane Connections was really instrumental bringing that his mana'o, his experience, and also that really important fatherhood perspective to our team. So thank you for allowing me to kind of run through everyone. I just kind of wanted everyone to have a sense of who is who. And we could not have done this without the generous funding of the Maui District Health Office. So mahalo. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jessica, who's going to walk you through some of the information about early childhood literacy.
Thanks, Deb. That was great. Let me just share my screen real quick. Let's see. So I am going to talk about early literacy skills, and I want to thank Tracy Robello for inviting me in and connecting me with Ho'oikaika Partnership because it's just opened up all these possibilities of partnership and collaboration. And bravo to everyone who worked on this book. I came in toward the end and was really pleased with, and amazed with the results. So, one of the core pieces of a child's early life, of course, is bonding and interacting with a loved one, a caregiver, a parent. And there are lots of things that we already do as parents that promote early literacy skills. And I want to highlight there are 5 particular skills that we already do, but can be more aware of in working with caregivers and as a parent, myself included. So this is probably preaching to the choir, but why are parents and caregivers so important? Because parents and caregivers are a child's first teacher. They know their children best, and children learn best by doing, and they love doing things with their parents and other important adults in their lives. So the 5 simple practices: talking, singing, reading, writing, and playing. And these all are critical to early childhood development, as we all know, and of course, in getting them ready to read and ready for school. So we can use these from ages in the womb, because I read to my children in the womb until 5, 6, 7 years old. And they're easy to incorporate into everyday activities and are really fun for children and parents. We can make them fun. So based on research, we know that talking helps children learn oral language, which is the most critical of early literacy skills. So I want to give a shout out to the Talking is Teaching campaign, which aligns perfectly with what I was trained to do, which is every child ready to read. And talking and conversation is exactly what Kalo Boy's adventure to make Pono accomplishes. It's one of those books that's very intentional about observing and asking questions and what we call dialogic reading, which I have links later that will give you more thorough definitions. But if you're not familiar, it's all about interactivity and creating conversational spaces so that people who are reading with their loved ones, their young ones, feel more confident, if they aren't already, in really using the opportunity to read together as a chance to practice talking about possibly even difficult subjects. Singing develops language skills. It slows down the language so children can hear the sounds and develop phonological awareness, so they can hear and play with sounds. And I would argue that poetry also is really important in understanding the cadence of language. And of course, you always can learn new words and information. The third is reading. And as a librarian, I cannot say enough about how it has transformed my life and how it's such a huge connector, with preschoolers that I read to and children that come to the library and my own children. And of course, we want to develop vocabulary and expand our vocabulary, especially around topics like feelings and um, everything else in the world, so that we can name things and we can validate and we can acknowledge and learn. Um, that's my primary job as a librarian, is to nurture a love for reading. And that means, making sure kids get access to books that they see themselves in and that they love to read, no matter what it is, because we want to keep motivating them to learn, not only to learn to read, but to be lifelong readers and learners. Number 4, writing. Children become aware that printed letters stand for spoken words as they see print used in their daily lives. So the Talking is Teaching campaign has lots of opportunities for you to recognize words, to possibly write them down, or in your everyday life, wherever you go. You can teach. Everything's a teachable moment as long as it's fun. We want to make it fun, but there's always an opportunity to see print in whatever format that presents itself. And finally, playing. And play is one of the best ways for children to learn language and literacy skills, and to really process things. And I just learned in the last session I went to how important play is. And we want to facilitate that so that they can put their thoughts into words and talk about what they're feeling or doing. And these links will be in the session's description. I uploaded everything, but I recommend the Hawaii State Public Library System, of course, and Every Child Ready to Read. These other links are courtesy of Kako for Keiki, and Tracy Robello has really her early literacy initiatives, and Talking is Teaching, and a really good article about reading together to support early literacy. And that is all I have. And I hope that you can take a look later at those links if you're interested. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Solomon Enos, Native Hawaiian artist, illustrator, sculptor, muralist, game designer, eternal possibilist, I think I said that right, and community leader. Welcome, Saul.
Ooh, aloha, aloha, everyone. Oh, what a joy to be with you all, and what a joy to be sharing this time with you folks. I really have to say that the amount of work that the whole team has put into this was vast. It was huge. I'm gonna go a little bit off script real quick because I think of this story, the story of the stone soup. All I did was add one pohaku into the pot, but what everybody else did, they provided all the other ono. I effectively came right in and I just put the cherry on top, to use the proverbial cherry on top, to add another layer to this discussion, because we had a team of community workers, people who've been doing this advocacy for years upon years, and they were asked to write a book. And so everybody had to go outside of their comfort zone. For me, I was very comfortable. I was very, very, very easy for me to go right into the imagery. But it was easy because the team made it easy. And I have to say, without a doubt, every single meeting we had, every single conversation we had was loving, was respectful. Everybody made plenty time for other people's ideas. So much has to be said about so much joy went into the process that the book that has been produced will emanate joy. It came from a joyful place. So I cannot emphasize how important that is, in the fact that we've made something that came from a place of goodness. And every step of the way was quite wonderful. I helped the team to work we did some storyboards together. Of course, the work that the folks at Cynthia and Good Juju folks, they laid the foundation really early, so they made it very easy to facilitate these conversations. We went through several revisions of the storyboard to be sure that all the different components, all the illustrations and the narrative, that they all harmonized together. And the team went above and beyond all the expectations. I sincerely have, I have not worked with such a loving team before, and I really, really want to mahalo everyone for their patience and their time. I could go into the weeds as far as the some of the technical things that we did as far as the layout. I won't, but we may have some time, if folks. If some of probably the best compliment we could get is that we emulate this. If other communities want to do this kind of work, is to transform stories into digestible narratives, in the form of these kinds of books, would be wonderful. So I think that's why it would be great for us to share some of the process and to make it kind of open source so that other folks can be involved in telling these kinds of stories. And so I'll save that for a Q&A, or if we have a little bit of time afterwards. But aesthetically, I took my lead from, when working with kids, some of the artwork they really respond to with things that kind of look like an animation. So the backgrounds are all hand painted. And so it kind of like, it has this real, painterly kind of effect. And then the characters, like you see, like this one right over here, they all are digital. So they're like a digital overlay. So it feels like we're watching snapshots of a cartoon. The story is so timely. I mean, we had no idea all the things that have been going on. And so heavy. I know that when I was writing the story, there were times when I would tear up just a little bit because, I was moved. And to be able to fall into my own illusion as an artist, that's a good sign. But I'm thrilled to be part of this Ohana, and I'm going to hand it on to the team that the folks that did all the hard work, and that team continues on with Tanya Ilaua, Child and Club Safety Coordinator for Boys and Girls Club Maui, Heidi Allencaster, Hoʻoikaika Navigator, Maui Family Support Services, and Mia Sado Magbub, Lead Family Success Coach, Child and Family Services. So enough talking from me. Mahalo.